Hello, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Games Blog's new series, the VN Club. At the VN Club, we'll be discussing one new visual novel or game with visual novel elements every month. And you can join us in the chat on Twitch to comment and ask questions while we're doing our broadcast. So you can follow us at twitch.tv/thegamesblog, all one word. This month we'll be talking about Hanako Games' title, Long Live the Queen. And I'm Dan Furness, editor-in-chief at the Games Blog, and joining me are Jennifer, our managing editor.
Hello.
And Michael, one of our staff writers.
Hello.
So, if you're watching, Michael's the one that doesn't have video. So,
It's a nice picture, though.
It does have a nice picture. So, for those who don't know about Hanako Games, they're a small independent company that makes primarily visual novels using the Ren'Py engine, which is a free-to-use, commercially available engine, specifically for making visual novels and dating sims. Have you guys, either of you, ever used the Ren'Py engine at all?
Nope.
Not that I know of.
Okay. I have one work in progress with it, and it's actually pretty easy to use. So,
Cool.
in this case, Hanako Games used it to design what's known as a raising sim. For those who have played, say, a Princess Maker game, it's along those lines. For those who haven't, it's a game where you kind of dictate classes and training and interactions are based around one character with the goal of either improving their abilities to go out on adventures or raise them to become someone who's royalty or a magician or what have you, depending on the game. In this case, in Long Live the Queen, your goal is to raise a 14-year-old girl named Princess Elodie, or Elodie. Or how did you say it, Michael?
Elodie.
Elodie?
Elodie, there we go.
Elodie?
Elodie.
So,
yeah.
Since there's no sound to it that anybody ever says the name, we've got a couple of different options there. But, so you have this, I've got the sentence in my head and it's not coming out. So, in Long Live the Queen, the reigning queen has just passed away, and you play as her daughter, Elodie. And your goal is to kind of instruct her in different facets of training, whether it's royalty, like royal actions, being composed and elegant, or training her to do sportsman-like things, archery, running, climbing, or train her in ways of magic or military strategy, for example. And your goal is to keep her alive for 40 weeks until she becomes crowned the new queen. So, which is actually a lot harder than it seems. It might be, because the country that you're in charge of has a lot of problems going on left and right. Is there anything you guys want to kind of add to the basic plot?
I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, the plot actually changes based on how you raise Elodie's stats and which skill checks you can pass.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, depending on the stats that you raise and how far you've raised them, you can decide whether or not you want to, for example, compete in a jousting match, or just stay locked up in your tower so no one hurts you. And if you decide that you have enough points to pass that check in the jousting match, then you could go there and you would see a bit of story, and it would take you down another path that you wouldn't see if you had stayed holed up in your castle.
Yeah. I was actually just playing last night with a friend of mine, and they were picking a whole different set of choices than anything I had, so I actually got to see a couple of different storylines that I hadn't otherwise seen during my own playthrough, which was kind of neat. I probably got 3 or 4 different endings, I think, over the course of it, not counting all the different deaths. How about you, Jennifer?
I only managed to actually make it to Coronation once out of all the times I played. But I did get 7 out of 11 death options.
Nice. Yeah, I guess I should say I made it to Coronation 3 or 4 times, is really what I meant. I think I got about 6 different deaths, too.
I never made it to Coronation. I only got I got a few of the deaths, but I don't think I never made it. So I'm a terrible princess.
Yeah, there were a lot of chances to die starting about a third of the way through the game, I guess, is really where they kick in, best as I can tell.
And the interesting thing is, too, there were ways to fail without dying.
Yeah.
Like, you could make it to an ending where she survives, but doesn't become queen.
Yeah, I didn't get that ending. So.
I got at least one of those.
I never saw that either, so...
I mean, it doesn't give you pretty pictures like reaching, like Coronation does, or cutesy pictures like Deaths do, but it's just interesting.
Yeah, so I guess, it's interesting how they balance some of the like raising sim mechanic with the branching storylines. Have either of you played Princess Maker before? Because that's the closest I can think of. That
I haven't played it.
Even that's a little more different, a little different from this. So, in this game, for those who haven't played it, as you build up the different skills in reflexes or public speaking or what have you, when you encounter the different events during the story, it'll actually tell you. A little bubble will pop up on the screen and say, public speaking test passed or succeeded or failed. So it kind of gives you some insight into, if you want to play again, what you need to aim for to succeed and go down a different story path. Did you guys find that helpful, or did it kind of just break the immersion for you?
I think it was a double-edged sword. Like, I mean, I knew what I had to raise, and like, okay, I needed to. If I want to do this, I do that. But I mean, it just kind of. I mean, I like some games to have a little skill, and that just kind of took it all out because you didn't know what you would need at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it was really helpful because the night I did finally manage to get her to Coronation, I just sat there and I remembered which things I needed to pass and where they fell in the game, like what weeks they fell in.
Yeah.
And it got to that point where I was just like, all right, little girl, you're gonna become a queen. I'm gonna sit here until you become a queen. And I just tried to memorize where I needed certain skill checks. I was like, okay, this is the path I'm gonna follow. I'm gonna do it, and she's not gonna die. And having those bubbles just was really helpful, so that I would know, okay, good. I'm up this far, so I don't have to focus on this stat anymore. I can focus on something else so that I don't die later. It's like you have to plan like 3 or 4 deaths ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of what I realized too as I was playing it, is that you almost have to munchkin your play session and go, I'm aiming for getting through this particular, scenario. And so all I'm going to do for 5 weeks is train archery and reflexes. And you do
that, or you're not going to go to the birthday party.
Well, that's yeah. See, I was bound and determined to get to that birthday party.
Yep.
Unfortunately, once I got there, I couldn't do anything else because all I did was train my reflexes. But I think I agree with Michael, though, that it's kind of a double-edged sword in that it breaks kind of the skill. It reveals a little too much behind the curtain at times. it's helpful for when you're trying to get those last couple of endings, but it might almost be one of those things that could be better served as an optional thing you can turn on and off.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That makes sense.
That way you can, play through a bunch of times, kind of figure things out on your own, and then when you're in garbage time mode, just trying to clean up the last couple of deaths or whatever, you can turn it on and go, okay, this is where I need to, succeed and fail. Did you guys have any particular deaths in that you liked the best? I don't want to spoil too much about the story, but I think that's probably something that, because of, even the trailer for the game kind of advertises the fact that you can die in so many different ways.
I thought there was one death that I thought it was interesting that there were several different ways you could pass it, and some of the ways you could pass it would have introduced skills that I hadn't even thought to myself to level up, and that was the death by chocolate.
I don't think I got. Oh, I never actually. I somehow managed to pass a check every time on that one.
Like, there were a few different ways you could manage to not eat the poison chocolates. You
Yes.
could have your trade and economics knowledge up
Yeah.
enough that you're like, this packaging is weird, or something like that.
Yeah, it's
that
like
doesn't package their stuff like this.
that's what it is. It's like you needed foreign intelligence and trade, and you could go
Either that,
or-
or you could also have leveled up your skill in dog handling.
Mhm.
And I don't know what that would have led to because I never passed that check, but it was an option. And also, apparently, decoration was an option.
Yes. So in that scenario, if you passed it with the dog check, if I remember correctly, the dog sniffs it, and you can tell that the dog's identified a foreign substance in it. Because you've now the dog, you realize that the dog's been trained to as kind of like a drug sniffing dog, and so his reaction is meant to indicate that there's something in there. And then the decoration one was something about, if I remember correctly, it's there's some on the packaging, something makes it look forged.
Huh.
Or something like that.
It's funny because that's actually my favorite death too, only because that was my first death that I chose on purpose.
Nice.
Oh, this chocolate isn't weird. I was like, I just wondered what would happen, and she died. It was awesome. That's what I really liked about the game was the deaths. I mean, I did them on purpose, kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
I said, I never made the coordination, but I think that was the fun part of the game.
I honestly agree. Having made it to coronation a few times, I think that my favorite thing was trying to figure out how to die in new and inventive ways.
I did manage to find the tentacle monster death that they show in the trailer.
That one I never encountered.
I'm not going to tell you how to find it, but...
Well, is that one of the ones where you go down a path that's not the coronation?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I never found that one either. Unfortunately. I
think... I'm trying to think what my favorite death is. I think mine was when, she, had all the blood sucked out of her body. And she just,
I don't remember.
She,
Is it you let your blood run dry or something?
Yeah, so it's not the one where you, get stabbed. There's, another one. There's, death by stabbing, and then there's that one.
Yeah.
And I got the death by stabbing enough times that I stopped enjoying it because I couldn't figure out how to get around it for a while.
Nice.
Because it was one of those ones where you needed, more than 100 points to pass the check.
Yeah.
So. But I'd say my most frequent death was the stupid archer.
Oh.
I just could not give up on going to that party for some reason. I had a real hang up on that one.
You need to go to the party next time with the skills to be able to get something out of it.
Yeah.
I managed to do that once.
So, one of the other interesting choices, though, about the game is the option to learn magic or not. And
Oh yeah, it took me a while to get her mother's crystal.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that plays into a few of the different deaths. Because I think there's some of them that you just don't even have access to if you don't have the crystal. So, did you guys just flat avoid magic at all when you were playing through, or?
No, I went straight for the magic from the beginning.
Yeah, same here. I leveled up my accounting or whatever it was so
Yeah.
I could get into the vault.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I know math, let me in.
Yeah. I always used the trade route too instead of the like the royal presence one. Because there's two different checks you can pass to get in there too, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it was royal presence, flattery, and accounting or something like that.
yeah. And
I was just going back through my deaths right now, and death at sea is pretty funny. Drowned at sea.
oh,
She's like floating among the fishes.
yeah. So I forgot about that one. That when that happens,
I remember that one being incredibly frustrating.
yeah, when that happens, it was like, really?
Really?
I made it through all this crap and that's what happened? I can't swim.
Yup. Should have leveled up that swimming stat.
Yeah.
I think that was an option.
Yeah, it is. The worst part is it's like the most basic level of skill you need to pass it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I played like one playthrough where I didn't go for the magic crystal, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and it definitely changes some of the dynamics in the game, especially later on,
Yeah.
because there are a couple of spots in the late game where if you're playing with magic, you become really dependent on it to pass the checks. And
Yeah.
so when those checks would come up, depending on how the story's gone, there are other people that kind of step in and pass the checks for you. So
Yeah, I definitely want to sit down and play this again.
yeah, I would definitely play it some more, but I think I actually almost played it to death, oddly enough, when I first was playing through for this. So I think I need
Do you have a chibi for that? I think you need to make one. If anybody out there wants to draw a chibi of Dan playing too much, Long as the Queen until he dies.
There you go.
in
We
the
can use
style of what Hanako Games did for this one.
Circle, the pink frills.
Yes, pink frills are necessary.
That's
I
fine.
will give you an internet cookie.
Death by irony.
If you manage to draw a decent picture of me in the magical girl outfit, go right ahead.
Bonus points for that.
Mm-hmm. So, I bring it on internet. I accept this challenge. I want to see what you got.
And then we have to get Dan to cosplay it.
That's the reward. That's the reward. If it's actually a good picture of Dan in the magical girl suit, that's the reward. No backing down.
I've threatened you with so many other cosplays along those lines over the years, Jennifer.
I know, and it's never happened. I'm sad.
There's
I'm still waiting for Sailor Moon.
Is this and Clover from 999?
Oh god.
That's what we can do with this series. How about
No,
that?
I thought you were gonna do BLR Clover.
Oh yeah, I was gonna do VLR Clover. When we do the VLR Virtue's Last Reward episode, I'll do the entire episode dressed as Clover. How's that?
Okay.
No,
No.
not gonna happen. No. those of you who have ever played Virtue's Last Reward will know exactly why that's the worst idea you could possibly come up with. I will stick to my Ni no Kuni T-shirt for the time being.
Well, that's acceptable.
And that's way off topic.
Hey, come on. It's
Really
not
off.
it's not a good recording if we don't get off topic.
It's true. I fully expected at least one. So, but bringing us back to Long Live the Queen. How long did it usually take you guys to kind of go through one playthrough? You know, to get into it, and I guess if you died early on, it would be different than dying later, but
It didn't take more than an hour or so.
yeah, that's kind of how it was for me. It was about an hour per playthrough.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry, I go.
Oh no. I was just gonna say, when I did actually beat it, I must have died like 10, 15 times in one evening.
Yeah.
And I played for several hours, so divide.
Yeah, I would play it in kind of fits and spurts like that too, where I'd play 2, 3, 4 hour session and just have a set list of goals that I wanted to accomplish.
I just found myself skipping a lot of the dialogue that, at the beginning, because it all repeats itself.
Yeah, the
Click, 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 click.
yeah, the very early dialogue's easy to skip after the third playthrough. For the first X many weeks,
Yeah.
it's gonna more or less play out the same. That's
So I did have a couple of those. I did have a couple of times when I was skipping through, just like, oh my god, I need to get to something new, and I accidentally clicked an option I didn't want to click.
oops.
Like, I wound up accidentally sending the Duchess away once. I was like, oh, oops. Well, we'll see how this goes.
I actually sent her away almost every time just because I thought she looked like a bitch.
Oh.
You did look pretty evil.
I'm like, I do not trust you at all. So for
But I
like the
did find
first,
out- well, we find out later that you had an option to get her back. So,
yeah, but I'd usually screw that up with the decisions I made down the road, and she wouldn't want to talk to me anymore.
well, maybe it's your fault she was mean.
Maybe. Well, it turns out
You
that
should
she's
have
not.
put her in jail.
Well, maybe she shouldn't have scowled at me the entire time she was in the dialogue box.
People can't help their face.
So, yeah, she has bitchy resting face. I think is what it is. But you do, even if you send her away, you get another chance.
Yeah.
So
She's not your only
your only hope.
mentor. She's not your Obi-Wan.
Yeah. But as far as the dialogue goes, what did you guys think about it overall? I know you said that you kind of skipped through a lot of the early stuff, Michael, but
Well, I mean, it wasn't bad dialogue. I mean, it matched the game overall as its tone. It's just, simplistic, I guess you could say that. But I mean, the whole game is simplistic, so it really doesn't detriment the game. I mean, overall, it was pretty good. Maybe a little voice acting couldn't hurt, though.
yeah, I can definitely agree with that. There were times where I wish there was just a little more explanation or a little more detail given, but the overall tone seemed to match pretty well.
Yeah, it could have been nice if some of those checks had actually had cutscenes associated with them.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah.
And I would have liked a little more variety on when you're playing, when you're choosing your activities for the weekend. This every time you play sports, it says the same thing, and every time there's only a couple of different options that could pop up for each event.
Would have been cool to have some mini games like you actually play tennis in some way, or run or something.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that.
And that's one of the big differences between this and Princess Maker is you could actually send her on in Princess Maker. You could send her on adventures, and you would actually wander through small dungeons.
Oh, cool.
So that would have been a nice addition, just to be able to play some of the weekend events, because like sneak out of the house, and it just says, you know,
your father would be so mad if he caught you.
Yeah.
Or something.
But there's no like, what did you do? You know, you just snuck out. You just hid around the corner from the castle wall, or did you? You know, go into the... I
guess if you're fearful for your life, maybe you didn't go that far.
Go explore the merchant district.
You just hung a rope out of your window and climbed down it and hung around outside for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then went back in your room. I don't know. I don't know what you did.
Step outside. Ooh, it's cold in here. Go back inside.
Exactly.
I feel so much more daring now that I stuck my head in a window.
What was that? That was willful and lonely, or something.
Yeah, I guess
think is what that would.
You were running around alone.
So
that was interesting. How they picked which activities would change your mood in different ways.
Yeah. So that's one thing we didn't bring up before, was that your mood actually affected how well you learned different skills. Mm-hmm. And so by doing different things on the weekend, you could affect your mood and then get different bonuses to how well you could learn how to dance, or...
I mean, if you weren't careful, you would lock yourself in, actually. Like, by picking different activities on the weekends, you would totally lock yourself into different paths, because if you did things that made you more willful or more lonely, you couldn't do, for example, the social activities, like being more poised, having more presence, and learning to sing, and all of that stuff. You couldn't do those if you were too willful and too lonely and sad or whatever.
Yeah, and instead you got really good at doing military.
Yeah, you would be like a military genius, or like a super spy.
And so that was an interesting mechanic how they did that. Did you find yourself locked into paths that way too, Michael?
I found but my thing was I kind of tried to balance it out, but it was really hard because a lot of the things had the same like stats. Like they didn't have too much variety, like you said earlier, with the stuff. So it was like this made you willful and depressed, while this made you lonely and depressed. It's like you had to find a weird balance between them, and it could get like kind of hard to do.
And almost all of the moods were negative.
Yeah, it's like
they were cheerful. There was cheerful, but I don't remember any other particularly positive traits.
Yeah, so there are 4 different like lines, each with 2 emotions on it. So there were like angry and afraid were diametrically opposite. So as you got more angry, you got less afraid, and vice versa. And then it was cheerful and depressed, and willful and yielding.
Oh yeah, whoops.
Yeah, willful and yielding, and then lonely and pressured.
Yeah, so the dichotomies were interesting. It's like the only way to not be scared is to be super angry.
Yeah. And so...
Accept your hatred, young apprentice.
Yeah.
She would make funny faces depending on which her highest or emotion was at the time. Like, she's angry, she's like, and when she's all depressed, she's like, oh, I'm so sad.
Yeah, the worst, though, was pressured. Like... do you guys remember what the pressured one looked like?
Yeah, I think she looked constipated.
Yeah, exactly. She looked like she had the poop. That's what I thought every time.
That's not princess-like at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever had her balanced far enough in the pressured direction to see that face.
She's like all scrunched up. It's like, eat some...
Oh no, I don't think I had that face at all.
It's like, eat some fiber, child.
Fiber 1. They're in the brownies.
Oh gosh.
Nope, that was poison.
Oh.
Womp womp. But yeah, those dichotomies sometimes got really imbalanced because of, as Michael was saying, a lot of things either had depressed as a side effect, or Lonely is a side effect, and it was really hard to get pressured, and I don't think you could even get angry until you unlock the ability to play sports. So you had to play enough, do enough reflexes stuff, and play enough of that running and climbing stuff to unlock sports. And
I
then
think you could make yourself angry if if you could go to the dungeons. In some cases, when you go to the dungeon and you see the poor people in
oh yeah, that's
their
right.
cells, that would make you angry.
Yeah, but that wasn't an every week option.
Yeah.
So
What did you guys think of the outfits? I thought that was cool.
My favorite one was the accounting one because she was kind of like in the
Yes!
business dress.
Yeah,
and
like
she's
the-
sitting there going,
She's
I
like
know
the
money.
Monopoly guy.
mm-hmm.
She's reminding me of Mr. Monopoly or whatever his name is.
Yep.
Monocle the mustache.
Yeah, that one was good.
The cat suit is also funny.
I don't think I ever got that one.
MI6.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got that one. I got the military one, the magical girl one. Thank God for the magical girl one. That got me through like some of the endgame stuff. But
So, okay, as far as the outfits go, I didn't realize until several playthroughs in that they didn't actually boost your learning.
yeah, they only boosted the skill checks, not the actual
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah, I did not pick up on that somehow.
Mm-hmm. Which I think it would have made them a little overpowered if they boosted the learning rate too. Problem?
Problem?
Well, maybe not entirely.
I like it's a bad thing.
Considering how often
But
you
if
can
you're, like,
die.
at the very end and you just need one skill to be a little bit higher, and you're like, ugh, I have like 3 weeks and I can't get this skill high enough.
Yeah.
Put on my magical girl dress and boost the heck out of that one.
Yeah, but I think this game's difficulty comes from exactly that scenario. And
I know. Because you reach that point and it's an exercise in futility. Sometimes. It really is. You're like, alright, I saved 3 weeks before the skill check, I can do this. And you go back and you try all different combinations to try and get past this test. And then you realize, no, it ain't working that way. And then you start over.
yeah.
At least that's what happened to me.
So, but I don't know. I don't know. I just, yeah. I mean, you make a good point. I just think about it in terms of, like, having played things like Arkham Horror, the Arkham Horror board game so many times, where you're not expected to win. I guess I'm just
That's
used.
true.
Like, I don't know if either of you have played something along those lines, where it's everybody against the board, and like your success rate, starting out, your success rate is near zero, but like on a good day, you probably win maybe 50% of the time. So, I guess I'm just I'm trained to accept the fact that I can walk into a lot of those situations in Long Live the Queen and not, and just accept the fact that I'm going to die because of a decision I made 6 turns ago to not train something.
That's super depressing. I don't know. What do you think, Michael? Michael?
You want to win.
Oh, there we go. Michael's back.
Hooray!
That was off?
Yeah, your microphone was off, I think.
Oh.
So what did you?
But I said it's like you don't want to expect to die in games. You want to win.
Yeah, it's good to want to win, but
Unless what you consider winning is getting adorable chibi death pictures.
it's true. That is a win in its own right.
It was fun. I mean, they were cute though. It's just like she has the X across her eyes and everything. She's like, "Oh,
Aw.
I'm dead."
It made it more bearable,
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
it made you feel less of a. You didn't feel as bad of a person.
And when you guys played it, did you just play the PC version that you bought from Hanako, or did anybody play the Steam Greenlight version?
I bought it from
Um,
Hanako.
Yeah, I think I actually bought mine through GOG.
Oh, you got the GOG version.
Yeah, but I saw someone play the Steam version, and there's actually some changes that I kind of like a lot, and would love to get that patch for.
I
Um,
I was gonna ask because I know there were changes, so I didn't know if maybe Jennifer you had played.
yeah.
So you've seen both versions. What kind of differences are there?
I don't think there are any differences in the actual gameplay, but the checklist type thing at the end changes. Like you actually get endings. Um, so maybe that's actually changed. Maybe I managed to properly apply this patch.
Nice.
Sorry, that was random,
Apply it directly to the forehead.
right? Though, huh. Sorry, I'm looking at this now, and I think it may have erased my previous win. That's kind of annoying.
Womp womp.
Um,
I guess you're gonna have to play it again.
yeah, okay. I did successfully apply the patch, and it's showing me the pictures for the Chivos and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't just have a checklist for like, oh, did you speak to this dude at the ball? Or whatever. It actually shows it to you as little thumbnails, pictures with like the achievements that you would see in Steam. Which is nice.
Yeah.
And the death space is the same for me. But I think it was mostly the checklist. The checklist was super inscrutable. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But now it actually it shows achievements.
Good. I'm glad to see that they added that in. Yeah, I haven't applied the patch, so.
Yeah, and it shows you little images for the epilogues. So yeah, it's nice. It's a nice little addition. It's nothing game changing, but I think it's good.
Nice. So, trying to think. I think, I mean, we've talked story, we've talked gameplay, we've talked about death, dismemberment. What,
There's
oh.
the characters, but I mean, there really wasn't much character development besides Elodie herself.
Yeah.
I mean, you had little cool thumbnails in the corner, and you could see, oh, and it had the little information thing said, oh, this is the, ruling person of this, or they do this, and,
Yeah.
But
a lot of them were just, yeah. They would appear 2, maybe 3 times during the game, so with the exception of Elodie, her father, and a couple of people who showed up at the castle for a while, you really didn't get a lot of interaction with the same people. Uh-oh. I think we lost Jen.
yeah. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. She just shot me a message that her computer crashed and fully blue screened.
Oh, blue screen of death.
Yes. So
I can't see you on camera anymore.
you can't see me at all?
Oh, no, there it is. You're like, your camera phased out for a second.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it might just be the two of us wrapping up. But yeah, as far as the characters go, it looks like it was. I mean, the couple of dukes that came by. Oh, Jen's gonna actually try and come back via phone real quick. Let's see if that works. And but I think we're about to wrap up here, Michael, since I know you need to go too.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Saturday.
So, do. Here's the part where we're editing it out. Do. So,
Blue if I was green. Sorry, my brother's listening to Silicon Valley. Oh, there she is. Hello.
You sound really far away.
Well, I'm on my phone now, so
Ah,
that's what's going on. Actually, I'm gonna go vertical, even though I hate it.
there you go. So,
Yeah, blue screen of death. Pretty awesome.
Dun dun dun.
nice.
Twice in a row, too. Weird.
Oh wow.
I don't know what happened. It turned itself off, turned itself back on, and then on the blue screen again.
That's not good. Well,
I think I'm just gonna let it cool off for a little while, because maybe it just overheated if it does that.
yeah.
But usually there's no blue screen to warn me.
Well, quick thinking on grabbing your phone there.
Yeah, well, that's because when we initially tried to do this, my phone wanted to answer the call instead of my computer.
Oh, yeah, that's
That
right.
didn't work.
It's the Hangouts app, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
No longer monitoring social media.
understandably. Well, we're about to wrap up, probably.
All right.
But,
I'm gonna actually have to go right now. I'm sorry.
okay. So, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the episode. Jennifer was able to jump back in here, and so we can do our closing. Thank you, Jennifer and Michael, both for coming on to the inaugural episode of the VN Club. And we'll be back next month with another episode.
What are we playing?
I think we're going to play Analog, A Hate Story, which is available on Steam right now.
Okay.
So, do you guys have, before we really close things out, is there anything that you guys want to say? Any last thoughts about the game?
It's a good distraction. That's my overall thing. Like, it's not for your hardcore gamer. It's a good distraction. Like, if you want 10 minutes, oh, I got 10 minutes, just put it up real quick, do a couple, scenes and go,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. Yeah, it definitely doesn't. I have a friend that I tried to show it to, and they were not, just didn't grab them, but they mostly play first-person shooters, and definitely not enough action, if that's more your thing. But
I do think that if you're a hardcore board game player, you might be into this.
that's very true. Someone who plays kind of those non-traditional board games might get a good kick out of this. And it's pretty cheap. It's only like $8 or $10, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not resource intensive, so most PCs can handle it.
Right.
So overall, a fairly good effort from Hanako Games on this one, I think.
I enjoyed it.
It's not a visual novel in the traditional sense, but I don't know, I enjoyed it, and I think I would play more Racing Sims.
Yeah, me too.
For me, it's definitely a good introduction into visual novels.
Yep. Yeah, and next month, Analog will give you something a little bit different too.
Okay.
So, but I think that's going to wrap it up for here at the VN Club. Thanks for listening to our first episode, watching it, however you managed to get your hands on it, over at our YouTube page, youtube.com/thegamesblog, whether it's on our Twitch account, twitch.tv/thegamesblog. And you can find out when we're doing our next recordings from our Facebook page or our Twitter account, and get all of our coverage, reviews, news, and what have you over at www.the-games-blog.com. That's going to do it, so take care, everybody.
Yep, have a good one, and join us
Bye.
next time.
See you later.